if you wake up in the morning and you're sane, you have people in the house with you, you have a family, you're not a millionaire, you're a lot more than that.
Right.
How many millions would people pay to be alive, to be healthy, to have family, to have friends? All of these things, each one of the billion things that have to go right for a person not to be in pain, you would pay $1 million for each of them. You could make a list of at least 1 million things that you would pay $1 million to fix with the person's body. And you have all of them?
Hi guys, Eli Langer here with the Kosher Money Podcast. If you don't know what the Kosher Money Podcast is, it's a show about money, the things they don't teach you in school, from a Jewish perspective. Sometimes our episodes are about investing or managing your finances, but today's conversation is different. It's the view from a rabbi's lens on 7 commodities more valuable than the thing everybody is seemingly chasing, money. Enjoy the episode. Being a Jew, awesome. Managing personal finances, not so awesome. Welcome to Kosher Money. Rabbi Glatstein, so good to have you. Let's get right into it. The world revolves around money. There's no denying that. Everyone needs money to live. The question is, are there actually things more valuable than money?
Yeah, right. Like, how could that be? How could anything be more valuable than money? Money makes the world tick. But this is one of my favorite questions because when I was thinking about this, I had, I don't know, to me at least, it was a revelation because you could look at it the exact opposite way. Is anything more valuable than money? It hit me. Is there anything not more valuable than money? Is there anything in this world less valuable than money? Because think about it. We take money and we exchange it for a myriad of possible things. We exchange it for milk, bread, bananas, cars, clothing, houses, tuition. That means whatever we're exchanging for money, we are deeming is more important than money. So there's almost nothing in this world less important than money. Actually, the question is not what is more important than money, but we need to measure up all the various myriad things in this world. What is more important than the other so that we will use money to buy that instead of other things? So it was a reality shifting question for me. What is more valuable than money? Now, when you ask a rabbi what's more valuable than money, the audience is thinking, we know what's coming. He's going to say all the spiritual pursuits and all of the values of family life. So I want to carefully introduce this subject with an important message, I think, and that is Judaism values money greatly. Money is extremely important. There's a documented story about one of the greatest Rishonim. This is a little trivia question. The Rishonim from the era of the medieval era, who was the greatest of all the Rishonim? The Rishonim was the era of Jewish history, say from about the year 900 to 1500, approximately. And if you ask most yeshiva students, who is the greatest of all the Rishonim, they would probably say the Rambam, Maimonides.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that is the opinion of the Sephardim. But Ashkenazim, Jews of Ashkenazic descent,
From Germany
and later Poland, and other countries, our tradition is that Rabbeinu Tam, the grandson of Rashi, was the greatest of all the Rishonim in wisdom and in the number of students he had. He was extremely sharp, one of the greatest analytical minds in the last 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbeinu Tam was extremely wealthy. He had many house attendants. And Rabbeinu Tam, before he would begin to study a Torah portion, he would actually take out his money.
Mm-hmm.
He would count it.
Mm-hmm.
It would put him in a happy mood, and then he would begin to learn. So let's think about it. At first, it sounds like a story we want to cover over.
Right.
But the Maharil was one of the earliest of the Paiskim, say of the Achronim after 1500. He records this as a legitimate tradition that we have about Rabbeinu Tam.
Mm-hmm.
So what we see from the story is that money is valuable, but it's a tool. If you have it, it gives you a certain peace of mind. So now you could use that contentment to be able to study Torah and come close to Hashem and be involved in spiritual pursuits. So on the one hand, it shows the value of money, but it also shows that money is a tool to help you get to another place. In fact, if I could add, in Psalms, King David says, I'll say in Hebrew, I'll translate, Toiv li Torahs picha me'alfei zahava kesef. It's, there are a lot of songs with that pasuk, with that verse. Literally means, Toiv li Torahs picha, God, your teaching is better for me, me'alfei zahava kesef, than thousands of dollars of silver and gold. But Chida says there's another interpretation. Chida, Reb Chaim Yosef David Azulai, so about 200 years ago. He says, Toiv li Torahs picha. You know when the Torah is sweet to me? May alfei zahav kesef. If I have money and I could appreciate it and I could have peace of mind, then the Torah is even sweeter than that. And I could appreciate the Torah from the contentment I have from the money. So it's not that we're undermining or devaluating money. It's there are things more valuable.
It's interesting because when we think of money, we think of it as a physical item, right? That there's nothing spiritual. It can't lead to any growth in spirituality, but you're saying that that's not the correct way to look at money.
It's not the correct way. It's a tool. Money is a tool. A tool could be dangerous and a tool could be extremely powerful. And it all depends how you use it. So Rabbeinu Tam, by the way, throughout his discussions in his comments to Shas, to the Talmud Bavli, you find consistently the value he places on business and how it's considered a mitzvah. For example, just, short example, the halacha is you're not allowed to take a business trip and set sail less than 3 days before Shabbos because you might not make it in time, or the jarring nature of travel might disturb your peace of mind on Shabbos. However, for a devar mitzvah, for a fulfillment of a commandment of Hashem, you're allowed to set sail within 3 days of Shabbos. Rabbeinu Tam says, going to do a business deal is considered a devar mitzvah. It's considered a religious activity because it's a way to support your family. So Rabbeinu Tam valued money, but he used it as a way to advance his Torah learning. So whatever we're going to say today is not coming from a place of not appreciating money, but just the opposite. Judaism values money as a tool to bring us to bigger and better.
And we spend so much of our time at work, which it kind of flips the script, right? When you leave synagogue in the morning and then you come to work, you feel like you're doing the mundane, you're doing physicality. And then, in the evening when we go to learn or pray, then we return to God. Then we return to spirituality. But you're saying it's one fluid motion throughout the day.
Absolutely. We've once discussed in the past that, in the month of Elul, we blow the shofar. When? Not before we pray, not before we learn,
right, before
we work. Because our focus is, we want to make sure that our work is done with the proper spiritual frame of mind. That's Rav Moshe Feinstein writes this in his responsa. Rav Moshe was on leading halachic authorities of the last generation. And I also want to just correct a misnomer that people have. They think, there's a secular world and then there's a religious world. And the religious world is the world of the supernatural, the mysticism. We're above and beyond reason. I'm not coming from that vantage point here. I want to share with you a teaching of Chafetz Chaim. Actually, we have the privilege today to get together on the yard side, on the day of the passing of the Chafetz Chaim, 24th day of Elul. Chafetz Chaim taught, he says, in the world, people think that religion demands that we be from religious, saintly. No. In Judaism, the objective is not to be from saintly. The objective is to be smart. So whatever we say today, I'm not here to tell you superstition or mysticism. It's a matter of making smart decisions. So with that introduction, you raised a very challenging question. What in this world is more valuable than money? What could it possibly be?
Right. We spend 8 to 10 of our waking hours. The other 8 we're sleeping, and then we have 6 left over, all in the pursuit of this green bill or whatever country you're in. and then we take it, we put it in our pocket, and we feel good, right? Like, is that it? Is that the pinnacle of this world? Attaining that?
Taking a green rectangle
Right.
and putting it in your pocket
Right.
and let nobody touch it. So, there's a ceremony in Judaism. If someone has a firstborn son, so technically it's owned by, the clergy, by the Kohen, by the priest.
Mhm.
Even today we have many Kohanim. You go to a shul, they get called up to the Torah first. And we do a procedure called Pidyon Haben, right? We redeem our firstborn, where the Torah teaches, technically speaking, your firstborn kid is owned by the clergy, but obviously there's a way to have him released, have their claim on him released. So the procedure goes, you invite all your friends. It's like another bris milah celebration. You invite all your friends, and you have the priest sitting up there, and we want to make sure this priest has the purest lineage. He could trace back to Aaron HaKohen, the first high priest. And we give him 5 silver coins. The total value is, $100 or something like that. And we give him the coins, and he poses an amazing question. He says, and now we're going to learn Aramaic, because our very sophisticated audience, they need to know English, they need to know Hebrew, and we're going to do a little Aramaic. We'll translate, we'll give captions.
Okay, good.
Right? He says, Ma ba'is tfei. Pal, what do you want more? What would you like more? Bincha b'chayrecha, your firstborn kid, oy chamesh slaim, or the 5 silver coins. Okay, so just imagine, you have a kid, you give the kohen the $5, the 5 silver coins, and he asks you, "You sure you want to give me the money and take your kid? What do you really want, your kid or the money?" And obviously, the father, I don't think in history any father ever said, come to think of it, I'd rather have the money. For sure, not by the first kid, maybe by the 3rd kid already. The father's thinking, I'm not sure anymore. And the father says, I want my kid. So here's the money. I'm going to take my kid. So it's like a rhetorical question. What would you like more? Well, what would you like more, your kid or the money? So Rav Ruderman, who was the Rosh Yeshiva, the leader of the yeshiva Ner Yisrael in Baltimore, he would say that this is not an isolated question. This is a question that reverberates into every decision we make in our entire life. We always have to ask ourselves, what do we want more? Do we want the money? Or is there maybe a more important value that we should be pursuing? Whenever we make a decision in life, we have to ask ourselves, when we go on vacation, we have to ask, what do we want more? Do we want this vacation? Or maybe there's a value that we need to be looking into that's more important than this vacation. Or whenever we spend money on something, or whenever we decide on any activity we partake in, we have to ask ourselves, what do we really want more in life? So there was a rabbi in New Jersey. There are a lot of rabbis in New Jersey. Yeah. He was counseling a couple, a high-powered couple. And this couple would work every night till 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. And the kids would be waiting at the window, noses pressed up against the glass, waiting for daddy and mommy to come home. And, they're half asleep, and the father and mother would come in half asleep, and the kids, were half asleep, and the father and mother would take the kids up to sleep. And the rabbi said, why are you doing this? Why are you working so much? And the parents said, what do you mean? We want to give the kids a good life. We want to give the kids food, clothing, good vacations, good college education, good future, not just our kids, our grandchildren. We want to give our kids everything but parents. The parents wanted to give the kids everything but parents. So that's something we always have to ask ourselves. Money is very valuable. Is it more valuable than being a parent, than raising our children? In Judaism, sometimes we ask, what value does the Torah place on spending time with children? Do we find great rabbis spend time with children? So it's interesting. I researched this topic. I have a friend, Kenny Pinsauer. He showed me that the Chafetz Chaim, again, it's his yard site, so he's just making a lot of appearances, said the same way Judaism believes we have to be kaiveya itim la Torah, set aside fixed times for learning in the morning and the evening. One also has to be kaiveya itim, set aside fixed times to overseeing the education and the development of your children every morning, every evening. You can't just say, well, I'm just going to daven today. I'm just going to learn today. You also have to spend time with your children daily. This is coming from the Chafetz Chaim, who valued time more than the Chafetz Chaim. The Chafetz Chaim didn't want to buy shoes with laces because it took a few extra seconds a day to tie the shoes. It's better with Velcro or slip-on. Okay, so we're not talking about somebody who had a lot of time on their hands. We're talking about somebody who valued every millisecond of life. But he said you have to set aside time every morning and every night to spend time with your children. So that's something that's more valuable than money. When it's all said and done, people regret, oh, I wish I could have spent more time with my children. Not I wish I could have spent more time in the office. The Brisker Rav, the Brisker Rav dedicated 10 years of his life to learn with his children. Now, in the early days of the state of Israel, the reality was many of the great Torah leaders, their children did not always stay on the straight and narrow. There were many, many very prominent religious families that their children, because many of them got swept away with the spirit of the day, and they would ask the Brisker Rav, what did you do? What did you do to merit? Brisker Rav, all his children were what we call Yereim Ushlemim, God-fearing, wholesome. And the Brisker Rav would always downplay it. He would say, there are no techniques, there are no parenting courses. It's all about prayer. You have to pray for your children. But you can't help but think, the Brisker Rav dedicated 10 years of his life, not for his own chidushim, not to write his own Torah innovative ideas, to learn with his children. That's something that every parent is challenged to really carve out the time to spend time with their children. You can't do it every night, certainly Shabbos, weekends, as much as you can. In Judaism, this is more valuable than money. One of the greatest Torah scholars of the last generation was Reb Chaim Kanievsky. He lived in Bnei Brak, and he was the address for all of the Jewish people, for any problem, any halachic inquiry, any issue. And, where did such a person come from? His father, Rabbi Yaakov Yisrael Kanievsky, he was known as the Stipler Gaon. When Reb Chaim Kanievsky was young, the Stipler learned with him always, daily, many, many tractates of Masechtas, many, many different Gemaras. He learned with him hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And, one might have said that, well, why is he spending so much time with his kid? He could be, writing his own books. He could be, and look what he produced, so.
The real investment. Because what you're saying gives a whole new meaning to homework. Homework is considered a chore, right? I have to sit and go over math equations with my son. I have to learn with him and break my teeth to try to better understand after a long day's work. Homework's not in the morning. For the most part.
Right.
So.
Look, I'm not the biggest homework guy. It doesn't have to be, what the Mora, what the teacher, what the Rebbe said, okay, learn this. It's a matter of cultivating that relationship regarding, of course, spending time doing things the kid enjoys, but regarding the values that the parents want to transmit to their children. So that's certainly something more valuable than money.